Yesterday we were doing the grazing food chain and the detritus food chain. I gave you example of grazing food chain. In that example, I gave you the example of grass which is eaten up by goat and which is eaten up by man or lion. So GFC or grazing food chain. The example I gave you here was grass eaten up by goat, which is further eaten up by man or lion, anything you can say. Okay. Now I was discussing the properties, characteristic properties of GFC with you. The characteristic properties of GFC is number one, this is based on energy from the sun. The first characteristic property is based on, because from where the grasses gets energy, they get energy from the sun. They get energy from the sun. So it is based on the energy, based on the energy got from the sun or acquired from the sun. This is based on this. Now, if you see in this grazing food chain, if you see in this grazing food chain, the first trophic level is the producer. You can see here the first trophic. What do we have in the first trophic level? We have grass. So what is grass? Grass are plant. That means primary producer. So the producers. So the first trophic level is occupied by producers. The second point is first trophic level. I told you what are trophic levels. This is one trophic level. This is second trophic level. This is the third trophic level. So first trophic level is occupied by producers. First trophic level is occupied by producers. Now, it gets energy from the sun, and that means to this, if we consider this food chain as an ecosystem, it adds energy to the ecosystem. You know, from here the energy has traveled to the goat, from the goat the energy, the same energy which the sun has given to the grass, to the producers, that has traveled from the grass to the goat and then to the man or the lion. So it adds energy to the ecosystem. The third point can be it adds energy to the ecosystem. So grazing food chain or GFC adds energy to the ecosystem. This is the third point. This is the third point of the GFC or grazing food chain. Now here, the fourth point of this is what it does, how the food, how the green plants or the producers, here we can see, I have written grass is producer. Now how these green plants, they make their food. They make their food by utilizing various inorganic components. Which inorganic component? It can be minerals, it can be water, it can be various ions, and all which it uses to make its energy, to make its, make its biomass. Various components from sun, from soil, from air, which is used to make its biomass, they all are in the form of inorganic components. Inorganic components or inorganic substances, they all are in the form of inorganic component. So green plants or grass, whatever it can be from the sun. The energy comes to the green plants or the grass. Grass is also green plants. So these green plants, they utilize all the inorganic substances and they convert it into inorganic substances, and by using these inorganic substances, it performs the process of photosynthesis and then convert this inorganic substance into organic substance. They convert the inorganic substance into organic substance in the form of glucose, in the form of carbohydrates, etc. That means the green plants convert inorganic substance into organic substance. So this is the fourth point of grazing food chain, that here the producers, that means in the grazing food chain, the inorganic substances, bind to form organic substances. So this can be the fourth point, that it binds the inorganic substance into organic matter. So inorganic substances, they bind to form organic substance. The inorganic substances bind to form organic substances. They bind to form organic substances. So this is what happens in the grazing food chain. Now, one thing more which happens here. Now, see, the organic substance has been formed as a result of grazing food chain. So, grazing food chain has formed organic substance. Now, organic substance are present in the body of every organism. Like if we take example of say any plant or any animal, organic substances are there. When these organisms with organic substances, they die, when they die, they become food for the decomposers. When they die, they become food for decomposers, which decompose the dead bodies. They become food for decomposers or detritivores. Detritivores mean, what will they do? If the plant falls or if the leaf dies, these detritivore will convert the bigger leaf into smaller pieces by the process of fragmentation. Same way, if a big animal dies, its body will be decomposed by detritivore or by decomposers and then broken down into small pieces. So this is what decomposition is all about. So that means the GFC or grazing food chain, it forms organic substances, and this organic substance is the food for decomposers and detritivores. And decomposers and detritivores, they are in which food chain? They are in another food chain which is known as DFC, detritivore food chain. They are in another food chain which is DFC or detritivore. That means we can make another sentence that the GFC provides organic matter for the DFC. Okay, that means the fifth point is the GFC, the grazing food chain, provides organic matter for detritivore food chain. The GFC provides organic matter for DFC, and then the DFC, which have with the first trophic level of DFC is decomposers and detritivore. They break this organic matter into small pieces, and then those small pieces are further broken down, or further mineralization takes place, humification takes place of that. So these are the points of grazing food chain. Is there any problem or any point which you could not understand or you want me to repeat in this? Just let me know, so that if it is clear, I'll start with grazing food chain. Yes, beta. If it is clear, then it's okay. Let me know. But let me know any point you want me to repeat, or any thing you could not understand, any particular point, or the whole GFC. Okay, Sukhsahaj? Or the whole process of grazing food chain. Okay, Paras? Which you could not, anything you could not understand, which you want me to repeat better? Yes. Yes. I got only two responses, Sukh Sahaj and Paras. Nothing else. Nobody else has. So many students are there. Sanjolika, Aditi, Gunjan, all are there. But yes, I'm not getting any response. If you are not able to understand, I can repeat the topic. Yes, Bachi. I can repeat the topic. No problem with me. I can repeat it. Yes, Bache. Yes, beta. Is it clear to others also? Gunjan, Aditi, Vanshika, Amit. Okay, one recap. Once recap. Okay. Okay, I'll go for it. Once recap, I have got one response. So this is grazing food chain. Grazing food chain means here the first, see there are different trophic levels. I'll make one more food chain. Suppose we have green plants. Green plants. Okay, green plants which are eaten up by, say, deer. This deer is eaten up by lion. This is one food chain. This is a grazing food chain. How do we come to know that it is a grazing food chain? It has a characteristic property. See, this is the first trophic level of the grazing food chain, first trophic level. Okay. And this is the second trophic level. And this is the third trophic level. These are producers. At first trophic level, what do we have? We have producers which produce food. The green plants produce food. Then this deer, it will eat up it. These producers, they make food for the primary consumers. So these are primary consumers, and then lion is the secondary consumer. So we have different trophic level in the food chain. Now, how do we, if we are given this food chain and somebody asks what type of food chain it is, immediately you will say that it is a grazing food chain. Why it is a grazing food chain? Because in the grazing food chain, the first trophic level is always a producer. If you see, we have green plants at the first trophic level, it is the producer. Now, here also, this food chain, if you see, I've written grass, goat, and land. So here also the first trophic level is grass, which are producers. So this is also a grazing food, an example of grazing food chain. Now, what is this grazing food chain based on? That means the producer, from where this producer gets energy, how does it make food? See, the main source of, ultimate source of energy to the green plants or producers is sun. So they get the energy from sun. So that is why I have written the first point based on the energy got from the sun. The second point which I have written is first trophic level is occupied by producers. If you see, I have made two food chains, and in both the food chain, the first trophic level are the producers. Always the green plants are producers, nothing else. Only the green plants are the producers. So first traffic level is always occupied by producers. The next one is it adds energy to the ecosystem. How it is adding? See, it gets energy from the sun, and then that energy is it utilizes to make it foods. It's food, and then that energy is then transferred when the deer eats the green plants. That energy, which it has got from the sun, that is transferred to the deer, and then from the deer to the third trophic level. When the organism at third trophic level feeds on the organism at the second trophic level, the same energy, of course a little less, is transferred to the third trophic level. So this is how the energy is added to the ecosystem. So by the grazing food chain, energy is added to the ecosystem. Then the fourth point is the inorganic substances bind to form organic substances. Now, see, the green plants are producers. How do they produce food? How do they synthesize food? They synthesize food by utilizing various inorganic components which are present in the soil, in the water, okay, in the air, as well as they utilize the solar energy. They utilize the solar energy for the process of photosynthesis, and they form food. So what they are utilizing are all inorganic components. So in GFC, the inorganic components are utilized, and these inorganic components, they bind to form organic components or organic substances, like The plants, they get energy from the sun. They utilize various minerals and ions from water, from air, and from soil. And by the process of photosynthesis, they form carbohydrate, starch, and glucose in them. And that starch and glucose makes the biomass of their body, forms their body. And then this is eaten up by this when the organic components are transferred from the first trophic level to the second, and then from second to the third. So this is how there is a trans first of all, the inorganic substances, they are converted into organic substances, and there is transfer of that organic substance from one trophic level to another trophic level. That means what is formed as a result of grazing food chain? Organic substances. Now these organic substances are the food for another food chain, which is DFC, detritus food chain. Detritus food chain, yesterday I told you the example of detritus food chain. It was the example I gave was detritus. Suppose there is a fallen leaf, a big leaf. I gave you this example. This is decomposed by detritivores and decomposers. Okay. And then this gets converted into small pieces. This gets converted into small pieces. And this we call as detritus. Same way when an animal dies, this is also broken down or decomposed by detritivores or decomposers and get converted into detritus. Means its body decomposes, breaks down into small fragments, and this also gets decomposed into detritus. Now what is this leaf and what is this animal which is dying? From where it has come? It has come from the grazing food chain. See, when this goat dies or the lion dies or the deer dies or this lion dies, this is its body is decomposed by detritivores or decomposers. Its body is decomposed by detritivores or decomposers. That means the organic substances which are formed in grazing food chain, these are food. They further continue as DFC. Whatever is the product of GFC. What is the product of GFC? Organic substances. These organic substances, they form the food for the DFC or detritus food chain. So GFC, this food chain provides organic matter for DFC. Is this point clear to you, beta? All the points are clear to you now? Shall I start with DFC, detritus food chain? Okay, so I start with the next food chain, which is detritus food chain. Yeah. DFC. This is detritus food chain. So for DFC, we should have detritus. What is detritus? Same thing which I told you. The animals when they die or the plants when they die, their body is made up of organic matter. Their body is made up of organic matter, whether it's an animal or a plant. See, either it can be animal or a plant. Their body is made up of organic matter. When they die, okay, their body is decomposed by, their body is decomposed by detritivores, or decomposers. I'm writing here detritivores or decomposers. Their body is decomposed by. Okay, now when their body is decomposed, when their body which has organic matter, after their death, when their body is decomposed by detritivore or decomposed, what does it convert into? That means again something which was a big, which has a bigger biomass, is broken down into smaller pieces. So ultimately from the organic matter, again what is given out is inorganic matter, is inorganic matter. That means again this DFC will form inorganic matter. That means the plants, first of all there was sun, then there were plants which got energy from the sun, plants. Okay, they converted, these plants converted inorganic, I'm writing just INORG, into organic matter. Okay, then at various trophic level, this organic matter was transferred. And finally, as a result of death of these plants or other animals uh, of this grazing food chain, what happened? This organic matter, which was the product of grazing food chain, this was the product of grazing food chain, this was acted upon by decomposers or detritivores. Okay, and then again, when they break it down, these decomposers, when they break down the organic matter, this again gets converted into inorganic matter. How these two cycles are interlinked, this is what I am showing. So decomposers, from here DFC will start. How these two cycles are interlinked, this is I am showing. Now this inorganic matter again will be utilized by the plants in the presence of sunlight and will again get converted into organic matter. And this is how the cycle goes on. Now, here what I'm telling you is the DFC or detritus food chain. Now, animals or plants, when they die, they have organic matter in them. Their body is decomposed by detritivores or decomposers. As a result, the organic matter present in them gets converted into again inorganic matter. This is what food chain is, detritivores food chain is about. Now here, what I want to tell you, I want to give you a chain, grazing detritivore food chain. We have this detritus. Detritus is, what is detritus? Detritus is the small pieces, after fragmentation of the body, dead body, what we get is detritus, the decomposed body, or the body which is fed up, which is fed up by the detritivores or the decomposers, which is decomposed by detritivores or decomposers, is detritus. That means when the dead body is decomposed by detritivores or decomposers, we call it detritus. So this detritus is, suppose here I am considering a plant leaf. Plant leaf, after it falls, it is eaten up by decomposers or detritivores and is converted into detritus. This detritus will be eaten up by the earthworms. This earthworm will be eaten up by a sparrow, which can be eaten up by an eagle or a falcon, bigger birds. This is a detritivore food chain, DFC. Now the characteristic feature of the detritivore food chain. Now, when I gave you the points of the GFC, in that I told you that it is based on the energy which it gets from the sun. Now, this is based on the energy present in detritus. Whatever energy is present in here, this chain is based on that. So based, first point is based on the energy present in detritus. So whatever amount of energy is present in detritus, it is based on that. Now, if you see in the detritus food chain, this is the detritus food chain. This is the detritus food chain. If you see in the detritus food chain, the first trophic level is what? The first trophic level is detritus. The first trophic level is not a producer. The first trophic level is detritus. That means whatever dead body is, it is fed up by detritivores. So how the detritus is obtained? This detritus is obtained when it was eaten up by a detritivore. So first trophic level is occupied by a detritivore. First trophic level is occupied by a detritivore. Now, the next point of this, if we see, that means if we see in this case, what is released in the atmosphere, what is released in the ecosystem. Now here, what happens, that inorganic substances are released in the ecosystem or the atmosphere by the decomposers. Okay, now we can write down this GFC releases inorganic substance by decomposing the organic matter. By decomposing the organic matter, the inorganic substances are released in the atmosphere. Now, what will happen? What will happen if the detritivores will not be there? If the detritivores will not be there, whatever the organic matter is here, it will get wasted. So it prevents the wastage of organic matter. It prevents the wastage of organic matter. It prevents the wastage of organic matter. Now, next point will be, as a result of this organic matter, it gets converted into inorganic. So this inorganic matter which is formed, this again enters another cycle, and that cycle is GFC. So it provides inorganic matter to GFC. Fifth point will be, it provides inorganic matter to grazing food chain. It provides inorganic matter to the grazing food chain. This is next point. Then you can also write down one more point which we can also give. We can give is, it breaks the organic matter and releases inorganic nutrient. In this only we can add, it breaks inorganic matter, and releases inorganic matter releases for GFC to continue. So these are the points of the detritus food chain. Anything which you could not understand? Yes, Peta, anything which you could not understand in this? Yes, Bache, anything which you could not understand in this? Any point which you want me to discuss again or repeat again? Okay, Sukhsahaj. Yes, others also. Yes, Bache. Paras, is it clear? Amit Katoch, okay. So these were the two food chains, grazing food